Welcome back, guys, to Steven's DIY Auto Repair. All right, guys, so we're here with this 2005 Honda Odyssey. And we have 169,440 miles on the clock. So today we're going to be doing a lower control arm, as well as a sway bar link and outer tie rods. We also might be doing the inner tie rods. I'm not sure yet. So let's get to it. I can't get my wrench off. Alright, guys, so 19 millimeter to get this nut loose, and you want to do it while your ball joint is still intact to help give you some leverage. And we have some locking pliers on it. There's a flat portion specifically for this. So now we'll take out our cotter pin and our ball joint. Got our castle nut off, 20 millimeter. And since we're not reusing the ball joint, we could be a little aggressive. But one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 turns. That joint should not be doing that. Hear it? Nothing in there. Alright, guys, so we got the clip off the front and the back of the boot. We don't have a new boot, so we got to be careful because we're going to have to reuse this one. So we have our boot for our inner tie rod. All right, we got our special tie rod tool on. Just gonna put an extension. And there's our tie rod, our inner tie rod. And as you can see, somebody tried to save it with some grease, but it's already shot. We have our new inner tie rod. So as you can see here, you can't move this one with your hands. We got some grease. Although it has some grease in it, we're gonna just put some of this grease inside and try our best to work it around, but this thing ain't moving. You also want to give it some grease where the boot's gonna go, so when the customer gets in alignment, it'll be easier for the alignment guys to do their job. It doesn't have to be all on there like that, but you guys get the point. Alright guys, so we got our inner tie rod all in. Now we have our outer tie rod. We're going to go ahead and put this on. So as you remember, we had 15 turns. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we should be about right there. Alright guys, so we're gonna go after the sway bar links now. It's gonna be an 18 millimeter. Alright guys, so after we busted our finger pretty good, we got our sway bar link out, and as you can see, hopefully you guys can see it's really tore up. So you're gonna have to put a jack right underneath your control arm and lift up your wheel hub enough to be able to get that out. So I think we're gonna leave that out because we're gonna go ahead and tackle that lower ball joint. Or I'm sorry, that lower control arm. All right guys, so we have our cotter pin out and our castle nut. It's gonna be a 22 millimeter. There we go. Now we just have to separate it. Alright guys, so your fastener here for your lower control arm is going to be a 20 millimeter, and then the one over here, the nut here, is going to be a 22, same as your castle nut. Hopefully that's picking that up. So now we're going to go ahead and take this lower control arm off and replace it. Alright guys, after some fighting, we got our lower control arm off, and now we're gonna go ahead and replace it. Alright guys, we have our new lower control arm. All these parts are coming from 1A Auto. 1A Auto is not a sponsor. They're not sponsoring this video, and we actually had to pay for all these parts. But I wanted to give it a shout out to 1A Auto. They do have good quality parts at a very low price, as well as fast shipping. We got these parts in probably about 2 or 3 days. So, and they give you all the parts you need. They give you lubricant, the new castle nuts, cotter pins, everything you need to get the job done. So 1A Auto, guys. All right guys, so just a tip here on your lower control arm bolt, your sway bar gets in the way of taking the bolt out and putting it back in. So I used a jack and jacked up that part that's hanging low just a tad, just to get our bolt in. So you're gonna have to do some wiggling and finagling, but it works. It makes it a lot easier. All right guys, so my lower sway bar link here on the inside, this nut started spinning, so you're gonna have to put a 17 millimeter on that to hold it, and then you can finish tightening your other fastener here. All right guys, now that we got all of our steering and suspension components tightened down to torque and ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the brakes and rotors, also by 1A Auto. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so like always, we're gonna have two 13, actually these are 14 millimeter bolts holding our caliper on. So we're gonna go ahead and take those off. And of course, we're gonna hang our caliper safely out of the way. 2 bracket bolts. They're going to be 20 millimeter. We're going to hammer those off. Alright, so we got our bracket off. So, just to give you a little backstory, because you guys have seen me do brakes now quite often. A customer called us a couple weeks back to diagnose some front end noise, and so we came out and discovered that he had multiple noises coming from the front. He had a lot of clunking noise and then a constant rotor noise. And then, so we diagnosed it obviously as some bad joints, suspension, steering components. That was the clunking he was hearing. So this is just a standard 2 Phillips head. To get these, you need to remove these 2 little fasteners to get the rotor off. So anyway, going back to it, he had some clunking in the front, really bad clunking, and then as you're driving you could hear something scraping the rotor. There we go, rotor's off. So anyway, we had something constantly scraping the rotor, and at speeds approximately 40 miles an hour, when you go to stop, I was feeling a vibration in the steering wheel, which is indicative to warped rotors in the front. So that's how we are here now. So we got a brand new rotor. Now we're gonna go ahead and get all this factory grease off. You definitely do not want to leave that oil on there. And attempt to stop. So you also want to line this up too so that your 2 pins will go back in there and secure the rotor. So we're going to go ahead and put these pins in first. spray this side down. Get our caliper bracket back on. Let's go ahead and spray this down. Brush. I don't know if the camera's getting this, but we're just cleaning it up a little bit before we put it on. Alright, so now we're gonna put back our caliper bracket. All right. All right, nice and tight. Spray off our caliper. Give this a good wipe down. Push back in that caliper and get it going. Now we got those bottomed out. brakes, new hardware. Brakes. And of course, we got our brake grease. As always, we're going to lube up the metal contact points to reduce vibrations and chatter. I feel like all I'm doing now is brake jobs, guys. Take our other one. Grease this one up. Sorry about that, guys. My camera stopped working. It got overheated and it shut off. But basically, we just go ahead and put the brakes back on, put the caliper back on, and put the wheel back on, and we're pretty much done with the passenger side. And then we're going to move on to the driver's side, but I don't even show that. So anyway, that's basically it. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you guys did, make sure to hit that like button. If you guys would like to be notified when I put out another video, make sure to hit that bell notification. And guys, please subscribe to my channel for more informational videos and DIY projects. And as always, guys, until next time, have a good one.